Welcome to Life Unrehearsed. My name's Matt Delvecchio, specializing in life transitions, downsizing, and the senior living industry. Coming up on Life Unrehearsed, April is Organ Donation Awareness Month. We're going to have a kidney transplant recipient who will be sharing her inspirational story. And on the second half, I'm very proud to have the Chief Operating Officer of CARP, the largest advocacy association for older Canadians. He'll be discussing the top challenges of older Canadians and what we can all do to improve the health and well-being of one of the fastest growing demographics. Welcome to the month of April. Lots of things happening in the month of April, including you just heard in the newscast about Autism Awareness Day. In fact, the whole month is Autism Awareness Month. We also have National Volunteer Week coming up in April, and we've got Caregiver Day in April, and we are going to be having lots of wonderful guests on our show over the next few weeks to celebrate these great causes. And as mentioned, one of these awareness months is Organ Donation Awareness Month, which is in the month of April. Did you know there are 4,400 Canadians awaiting a life-saving organ transplant? 250 Canadians die each year waiting for a transplant. But here's the thing. Polls show that 90% of Canadians support organ and tissue donation, yet only 32%, only about a third of Canadians have actually registered themselves to be a donor. Well, I'd like to invite a dear friend who knows all too well about organ donation. Let's bring in Sherry Gilmer. Sherry received a kidney transplant in 2013, about 10 years ago, and we have Sherry on the line. Sherry, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Hi, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Sherry, so happy to have you on the show here. Just love your story. And let's hear about that. Going back to the very beginning when I guess you got this initial diagnosis and what were your thoughts and what was the process when that happened?
Well, I didn't even know I was going to need a transplant. My kidney function was down and I thought maybe I'd just have to change my diet, lower my salt and so on. So I went to see my specialist and he said, you're going to need a transplant. I was very, very shocked, but I waited maybe 2 years. I got on different medication to improve my kidney function and then it just slowly went down. I didn't reach dialysis and I went straight to the transplant list and then I got the transplant in 2013.
Yeah, so Sherry, I'd like to hear about that process. First of all, I can't imagine you're going in thinking, okay, I'm not sure what it is, and you're walking out hearing, oh my goodness, I need a new kidney, and for you and your family, what a life-changing event. So, what is the donation process like? How do you get on that list?
Well, you get put on the list by your doctor, but also you have the options of either being on the list as getting an organ from a deceased donor, or you can also have your family members test to be a match for you, to be a live donor, because we have 2 kidneys and you only need 1. So live donor is a great option as well.
Yeah,
I was on the transplant list for maybe, I'm going to say 2 weeks. I was super lucky, and I got the call to go in. So I was very lucky.
So there you are. It happened super quick, which is quite amazing to happen that quick. And you get the call, and you don't know if there's going to be months, weeks, years, and you get this call. We're ready to go. So what's your reaction? What happens next?
I totally freaked out. It was just December 9th, and I was taking a nap, and then I got a call, and it's like, okay, we have a kidney for you, come on in. And it's like, what? I totally didn't expect it, and I just, freaked out. And I just called my husband, let's go, we gotta go, they've got a kidney for me. So we went down to the old Royal Vic, and just, walking up into the transplant floor and saying, okay, I'm here to get my transplant. It was very surreal, very strange experience to just sort of it's like you're in a dream, just kind of going through the process. It's very, very life-changing, for sure.
Life-changing is right, and indeed a Life Unrehearsed. Listening to Life Unrehearsed with Matt Delvecchio. April is Organ Donation Awareness Month, and we're talking with kidney transplant recipient Sherry Gilmer. This is happening at whirlwind speed. Sherry, you've walked into the hospital. So can you tell me about the actual transplant procedure then?
Well, I had to wait because there were other couples that were there as well that were going for the same 2 kidneys that had come in from a deceased donor. So they were testing me to make sure I was healthy. They were testing the other people as well to make sure they were healthy and who was the best match, basically. So I won the lotto. I was the best match. I was healthy. Everything was good. I wasn't sick. So I can't even remember, but I think it was about 3 a.m. Where they wheeled me down to the operating room, and that's where I got my transplant and came back up to recovery and just started the whole journey of recovery and just all of the emotional ups and downs and the health ups and downs and all of that sort of journey through.
Yeah, no, I'd like to talk a little bit about this. Now, describe, this is 2013 at the time. How old are you at the time, Sherry?
Oh my gosh, don't ask.
I could have put you on the spot. Give it by decades.
I was in my 30s, I think. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go within the 30s. And, you've got a husband, you've got kids, and your life has just been completely...
Yeah, I didn't even have a chance to... My kids were in school when I got the call, so I didn't have a chance to, talk to them and tell them that I loved them. It was so fast and so mind-boggling that it was just kind of... You had no choice just to go with the flow, and that was I was panicked, but at the same time, I said to myself, okay, I'm not in control of this. I just got to take it one step at a time, and these people know what they're doing, so just go with the flow. But it was really hard to do.
I would imagine. And like you say, you must be torn with emotions because you've got so much going on, and at the same time, like you said, you won the lottery,
Yeah.
And
there was a point actually where I was like, should we do this? Because you just get in that, when you're giving birth, you're like, I don't want to give birth. I want to go home right now. That's exactly what it was like. I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do this.
Sure.
And it's very bizarre, for sure.
Talking with Sherry Gilmer, who was the recipient of a kidney transplant, as we talk about Organ Donation Awareness Month in April. How long was the actual operation, Sherry?
I can tell you I was out, but I think it was about 4 hours.
4 hours. And then afterwards you mentioned recovery, and I want to talk about recovery because it's not just the physical recovery in your case, and I'm sure in many other cases, there is the whole mental recovery of all of this. Can you start with the physical part of things? What was that recovery process like?
The physical part is, I would say, probably the easiest because, it's not easy, obviously, but that was just concentrating on getting better and learning to take my anti-rejection meds and learning what I can do and what I can't do and what I can eat and what I can't eat and just, learning the medication. That was the biggest thing, which ones I take at which hour. I had a whole kit of all the medications that I took at which hour and making sure I ate properly and all of that. But the emotional toll was the hardest to deal with, for sure, because because I had a deceased donor, you feel like you have gained something from someone who lost their life, and it's very hard to deal with. And I still think about it. 10 years later, I still think of the donor. So that, I think the emotional part was a little bit harder for me, actually.
Yeah, you mentioned that there, as with kidneys, it could be a live donor, or in your case, it was a deceased donor. So, tell me about that. There's this guilt that you were talking about off air before, and could you imagine 10 years later, you're still thinking about the deceased donor?
For sure, because I've been solid and my levels have been great for the last 10 years, and my doctor's really happy with my levels, and I've just been very, very lucky and very blessed to have gotten this transplant. I'm living my life. I'm living like a normal life, just the medication I take, and you just have to thank that person for giving, and their family for deciding to give the kidney, and for me to continue on with my life with that person's kidney.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed, I'm Matt Del Vecchio, and that's the voice of Sherry Gilmer talking to us about her experience with a kidney transplant. Sherry, we do have to head out to traffic, but obviously this was literally a life-changing event for you, your family, and you've done a lot of work, advocacy work, a lot of research about organ donation, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as April is Organ Donor Awareness Month. April is Organ Donation Awareness Month, and we're talking with kidney transplant recipient Sherry Gilmer. Sherry was telling us about her story of getting a new kidney and how it has affected her life, obviously her family, both physically and emotionally. And Sherry, this was 10 years ago. You are well on the road to recovery, and this is not something that you ever forget. And you've done a lot of great work bringing awareness to organ donation. And can you tell us a little bit more about what you've learned about organ donation?
I always like to spread the word, to get people to sign their sticker that goes on the back of their Medicare card, and to let them know that you want to donate your organs, and also speak to your family members and let them know that you would like to donate your organs. You can save as many as 8 lives with your organs. That's like heart, kidney, liver, lungs, pancreas, intestines, and tissues, and also blood. And with the tissue donation, you can save up to 75 lives. So basically, these are all the things that are really important and can change someone's life like mine. And it's super important just to sign your sticker on your round queue and just let your family know.
And good on you. And as we talked about at the top of the show, 4,400 Canadians awaiting a life-saving organ transplant, and about 250 Canadians die each year. And the scary part of the stats is that the vast majority, 90% of Canadians have indicated that they do want to be a donor, yet only 1/3 actually put it in writing and get it done. Now, Sherry, I'd love to get your perspective for what you would recommend to people having to go through what you've been for any type of organ transplant.
Just like I said before, if you get the news that that's what you've got to do, then you just take it one step at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, and just trust the process. And I know it's something that's super hard to do, but it's a challenge, and it's totally worth it, and totally a life-changing experience.
Yeah, quite literally. And like you said, going back at the very first initial diagnosis, you had no idea about this. And was it just a doctor's checkup, or you were feeling some pain? And what made you get to that level?
No, I had gotten back from a trip, and I was feeling really like I had jet lag, and I was feeling really tired and nauseous, and I just didn't feel right. So I went for a regular checkup with my GP. And she said, well, your function's really low, so I'll send you to a nephrologist to check your kidneys. So, it turns out that I have Alport syndrome. It's actually a hereditary syndrome, and it affects the collagen in your tissue. It's your kidneys, your eyes, and your ears. So I had no idea that I had it until I started losing my hearing, and then I started questioning what's going on. But no signs whatsoever that my kidney was failing. I had no idea.
That's the voice of Sherry Gilmer here on Life Unrehearsed, and April is Organ Donation Awareness Month. Sherry, it's been about 10 years. This is something that I guess will be with you for the rest of your life. How are you doing now? I'm assuming you still have to be on daily medication, and how's the prognosis for the future?
It's a lot of, over the years, it's definitely a lot of changing of medications, adjusting different, doses, and trying what works and what doesn't work. And right now I'm at a really great place. I am, yes, you have to take the anti-rejection for the rest of your life, or for the rest of the kidney's life. And, it has a few side effects, but nothing that I can't handle. It's just, I'm doing really, really well. My doctor's very happy.
And I would imagine, is there a diet adjustment, or are there certain restrictions that you have now?
Not really for me. I I enjoy my food. I enjoy my sweets. But yeah, up to a certain extent, I don't want to push anything. I definitely don't drink any alcohol. I mean, that's my choice, but nothing else is very, just stay away from, I don't eat much meats, like red meats and stuff like that. So, but just stay away from the salt, keep the blood pressure at an even number, and just, watch your weight or whatever, which I'm not doing because I enjoy food so much.
Well, it's good to hear that, that you can do that. And I do certainly want to get a shout out about organ donation. And just, I guess, one final question for you before that, Sherry. And you mentioned you've got this physical toll but it's really the emotional toll, about this whole journey and knowing that you've received a kidney from a deceased person. And, you are so grateful for being given this opportunity. And how do you explain those thoughts? I'm assuming you don't know who the donor is or the family is. Does it get to that level, or do they just not allow that?
All I know is that it was a woman and she was 54 years old. I have sent a letter, but I'm not sure it got through the right channels, but I can write them. And they have to choose. I don't have their name, but I send it to Transplant Quebec, and they can send my letter through to the family. But I have no contact unless the family wants the contact, and that's how it happens. But so far, I have had no luck.
Right.
So, but I will try again.
Yeah, no, good for you. All right, you've got this little platform here, Sherry, to talk about the importance of organ donation. What would your message be to our listeners?
Sign your Medicare card. Sign it. Let your family know it's something that you want to do. Even, live donors, think of that. Think of being a live donor. I mean, there's, so many people out there in need, like you said, with those stats. It's just, it's insane how many people are waiting, on the transplant list. And I mean, this, if you're a living donor, you could give, your kidney, you can give a part of your liver, you can give a lobe of your lung, and it changes somebody's life like it did for me. So, just to be aware of that. And the number one, organ that needs, the needs for kidney is the biggest. So I'm extremely lucky to be a recipient.
Yeah, and you are appreciative of it. We could hear that in your voice, Sherry. And so yes, this is Organ Donor Awareness Month, and this is why we wanted to kick off the month of April. And Sherry, we're so very happy that you could join us and sign that card. You just have to Google even how to donate. And it is quite simple. And again, going to those stats, 90% of Canadians want to, but only 32% actually go through with making their voice heard and letting people know. So we do want to get that word out. Sherry,
and you can also go to transplantquebec.ca, and you can get more information for that. And you can also get the stickers for your Medicare card at the CLSC.
At the CLSC. Okay. And transplantquebec.ca, excellent website. It is all explained in there, and it is really informative. And like you say, head down to the CLSC, get a sticker if you haven't already put that onto your RamCure Medicare card. All right, Sherry, thank you very much for joining us on Life Unrehearsed.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Sherry Gilmer. She had a kidney transplant about 10 years ago. Nice to hear her voice and doing well, and certainly very appreciative of the donor for her. Next up on Life Unrehearsed, advocating for older Canadians. We're going to have the Chief Operating Officer of CARP. That's the largest advocacy association for older Canadians with over 330,000 members right across the country. They do have the vibe of older Canadians, and they have feet on the ground advocating for all of us. We're not only going to discuss what they're doing to help older Canadians, but we're going to be sharing some unique ideas as to what each and every one of us could be doing